Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube. I'm Joe Atticus. Welcome to the first installment of a special I've been wanting to start for a while called Poem Love. Now, where Poet Love talks about the poet in general and stretches across a variety of their work, this one I want to look at a specific poem by a specific artist. I was originally going to start this with Jean Ann Verlee's 40 Love Letters, going along the aspects of love. But in the past week, a certain poem has taken the internet and the world apparently by storm, and is a poem that I absolutely love by someone who is a very talented author. The poem is by Neil Hilborn, and the poem, of course, is called OCD, the love story between a man with OCD and losing the love of his life. I first heard Neil and met Neil back in 2011, but I will get back to all of that once Neil's name comes out of the magic shoebox. Now, this poem started out by a video on YouTube getting posted to Gawker, where Neil then did a private Q&A through the comment section of Gawker talking about his battle with OCD. Again, it's so weird that this poem has started taking off so much in what seems like the past week, when it's been around longer than that. Like I said, I first met Neil and heard this poem in particular in 2011 at the Rust Belt Regional Poetry Slam. And from there, it has definitely become one of my favorites. The story is, despite the subject matter of it just being someone with OCD, it's something that we can all relate to. And that is lost love. We've all lost a love somewhere within our lives. Now, with the fact of this being about someone with OCD, it brings it to a different perspective. I mean, and it is such a great piece, and I am so happy that this poem, and Neil in particular, are starting to get the attention. And I mean, it brings a lot of attention to the art, to slam, to poetry in the modern era. So, on that note, let's just look at the poem in particular. I'm reading the poem out of my copy of Neil's chapbook, High Lonesome. And it starts out just... The first line, I think, sets out the poem perfectly. The first time I saw her, everything in my head went quiet. All the ticks, all the constantly refreshing images just disappeared. When you have obsessive-compulsive disorder, you don't really get quiet moments. Now, being someone who's not OCD, but yet someone with a condition, I understand the lack of quiet moments. While the diseases may not be particularly intersected, there is similarities, I think, between most mental diseases. And I think that is a great way of opening, because it's kind of funny, because it starts out just, those lines just start out very perfectly. It kind of lulls you into something that is going to be peaceful, and then when you have a obsessive compulsive disorder, you don't really get quiet moments, and that gives the audience a little bit of humor into it. And then when he goes on into the poem of talking about what his compulsions is, the questions that he asks, but the fact that it was someone of attraction that makes everything go quiet, that makes the disease disappear for a little while. I can personally relate to that with my depression. There have been, of course, tons of women that with my disease, made it seem less for a while, but I'm not as good of a person as Neil, so I don't have. And then when it goes on to the second stanza, where again that humor comes out with the line, I asked her out 6 times in 30 seconds. She said yes after the third one, but none of them were right, so I had to keep going. It brings almost kind of a humorous light again to the disease, which is something that has affected so many people. And but to bring a humorous light can show a sign of healing for someone. It goes on to the first date, and how in the beginning of the date the woman in question starts to admire these ticks, how many times he has to kiss her goodbye. When they move in, the line in the third stanza, when we moved in together, she said that she felt safe, like no one would ever rob us, because I definitely locked the door 18 times. And then it just goes on from there to talking about, I just want to make sure I get this right, talking about from his compulsion, the things he becomes to love about her. And I mean, there are just some beautiful things to think about, like the line, when she said she loved me, her mouth would curl at the edges. At night she'd lay in bed and watch me turn all the lights on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off. She'd close her eyes and imagine that days and nights were passing in front of her. And it's after this point that the tragedy of the situation, when the lover in question starts having problems dealing with someone in compulsions, not wanting him to kiss her goodbye so many times because it would make her late from work, always moving forward when he had to avoid the cracks in the sidewalk. And the most powerful line, I think, in my personal opinion, of this piece comes at the end of the fourth stanza. When she said she loved me, her mouth was a straight line. After the last comparison of saying that she loved me and her lips curling into a smile, to just say I love you with no compassion is something I think a lot of people, almost I'll say everyone, has gone through, have been with someone, and when they say I love you, but there's nothing behind it, when I love you becomes such a heart, when such just an action, just a voluntary action, there's no emotion or passion to it. And then she leaves, and the realization that it was this disease, at least what I get from it, the disease took her away. And the fact that then all of a sudden the compulsions are stopping because of her. I mean, the line, she told me that she shouldn't have let me get so attached to her, that this whole thing was a mistake, but how can it be a mistake when I don't have to wash my hands after touching her? Love is not a mistake. It's killing me that she can run away from this and I just can't. I can't get out and find someone new because I always think of her. And then going about what his body usually is going through, and how the fact that she was the first one to make him truly feel loved, to make him want to get help, or at least that's how I'm taking this. I want to stress that enough. Every piece of art is always open to interpretation, and everyone will always get a different reaction from art. And this is how I react when I hear and read OCD. And just the fact that then he starts talking about our somewhat compulsions, how she turns shower knobs, how she holds the steering wheel, how she blow out candles. And I also the thing I love about this piece, and it works in writing, but I think it works better during the performance, is watching him, the repeating of phrases. He does this a few times throughout the poem, like in the last stanza, it's how she blows out candles, blows out candles, blows out candles. The on and off, talking about the light switch, and the eyelash on her cheek in the beginning. I think that's. I think watching it perform that, I think it gives a somewhat sense to where at the beginning it's kind of humorous watching, watching Neil perform it, and the ticks that he'll add to it. Um, the ticks that he'll add to it so that, it brings out that, this is someone who's had to deal with this disease. And then talking about the idea of someone else kissing her. That is the biggest thing for me, honestly. That's the biggest thing. Every time a relationship has fallen for me, even relationships that weren't really there, I think the hardest thing for anyone when they are broken up with someone who they were truly in love with. That the idea of someone else, them loving someone else, and someone else loving them, that's crushing, and everyone can relate to that. And then that last line, I want her back so bad. I leave the door unlocked. I leave the lights on. That is such a proclamation of love that there. What else can you do? What else can you say? Is I love you. If you were someone with this compulsion disease, to say, I'm working to stop these compulsions because I love you and I want you to come back. That's pretty much, that's pretty much, we wish we could love someone that much. I wish I could love someone that much. Now, as I said, this poem is beginning through Gawker. It's been posted on various other websites. Even fucking Fox News did something on this, I believe I saw. When the heartless bastards of Fox News want to talk about a love poem, that's kind of a miracle. In the following credits, I will have links where you can learn more about Neil and his work. I believe Neil is at the National Poetry Slam in Boston right now, so me at Poet Love, I keep saying we, but it's only me doing this. Wish him the best of luck, and every other poet complying. Neil, there are various versions of OCD on YouTube. I suggest it's Neil Hilborn, OCD. Please look it up. Please just keep supporting the love of and the great work of this great writer. And I believe that will end this segment of Poem Love. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.